The forest had no name. No paths led into it, and none came out. At its heart stood a house that should not exist anymore. It was old, decaying, swallowed by time and silence. Its windows were shattered, its walls worn and peeling, and yet, it still stood. Moonlight barely touched it, filtered through a thick canopy of towering trees. A thin mist coiled around its structure, as if the forest itself was trying to hide it. From a distance, the house looked small. Forgotten. But the deeper you looked, the more wrong it felt. The trees surrounding it grew too close together, their twisted branches forming a suffocating cage. There was no visible road, no sign that anyone had ever lived there. Just isolation. Complete and absolute. And yet, there was a path. A long, narrow dirt road stretched through the forest, almost invisible in the darkness. It led straight to the house. At the far end, a faint light flickered. Barely there, but enough to make you feel like something was waiting. Watching. The trees along the path were unnaturally tall. Their branches bent in impossible shapes, frozen in place despite the whisper of wind passing through the forest. Nothing moved. Nothing reacted. Even the ground felt wrong. Dead leaves covered the earth, brittle and untouched. Faint footprints could be seen, old, fading, and then suddenly gone, as if whoever made them had simply vanished mid-step. A low mist drifted slowly across the ground, swallowing everything in silence. The house grew closer. One of its broken windows revealed a curtain moving gently from the inside. Not with the wind, but as if something had just passed behind it. Then came the door. Old wood. Half open. Beyond it, only darkness. Not the kind you see at night, but something deeper. Something that felt endless. As if the inside of the house was bigger than it should be. Wrong. Everything about it was wrong. Even the angle of the house itself seemed off, as if reality had shifted slightly and left it unbalanced. Looking at it for too long made your mind uneasy, like your brain was trying to correct something it couldn't understand. And then. The feeling. You are not alone. From within the trees, from somewhere unseen, there was a presence. Watching. Waiting. Not the house, but you. That's when she heard it. A whisper. Faint. Broken. As if someone was trying to speak through a wall too thick to cross. At first, it made no sense. Then slowly, the sound formed into something clearer. Stay. Layla froze. Her breath caught in her chest, her heart racing in uneven beats. The voice wasn't outside. It was inside her head. She tried to ignore it. Told herself it was nothing more than fear, exhaustion, imagination playing tricks after a long night. But when she turned toward the mirror, her reflection was not looking at her. It was looking behind her. Slowly, she turned. Nothing. The room was empty. Silent. But when her eyes returned to the mirror, she saw herself again. Standing there. And behind her, just one step away. Something else. A tall shadow, stretched beyond natural shape. Its head tilted slightly, as if studying her. Curious. It had no face. Only a deep, endless darkness where features should have been. Layla screamed. She spun around. Nothing. Again. But when she looked back at the mirror, it was closer. She didn't sleep that night. Or the one after. Every time she closed her eyes, the whisper returned, louder, nearer. I'm here. By the third night, she couldn't take it anymore. She had to leave. She packed quickly, hands shaking, refusing to look behind her, refusing to think. All she wanted was to get out. Escape. She reached the door and opened it. And found herself standing in the same room. She stepped back, confusion crashing into fear. Closed the door. Opened it again. The same. The room. The mirror. And now. The shadow stood in the center. "That's not possible," she whispered. Then a voice came from directly behind her. "You never left." She froze. The voice was hers. Slowly, she turned. And faced herself. But something was wrong. The smile was too wide. Too stretched. The eyes, too open. The body completely still. Not even breathing. "I've been waiting for you." Then it moved. Fast. Too fast. The next morning, a man passed by the edge of the forest. He paused for a moment, glancing toward the house. Something caught his eye. A girl stood by the window. Watching. She didn't wave. Didn't move. She just smiled. A wide smile. Too wide. He shook his head and walked away. Place must be cursed. But he didn't notice one thing. She wasn't looking at him. She was looking. Behind him. And if you think the story ends here. It doesn't. Because when you looked away just now. When your screen went dark for a second. Are you absolutely sure? Your reflection moved at the same time you did. The man kept walking. At least, he thought he did. The forest behind him grew quieter with every step, as if the world itself was holding its breath. The sound of his shoes against the dirt path faded, not because he stopped walking, but because the forest began to swallow the sound whole. Something was wrong. He slowed down. Then stopped. The air felt heavier. Thicker. Like something unseen had filled the space around him. Even the wind had disappeared. The trees stood completely still, their twisted branches frozen like watching figures. Then he realized it. He could still see the house. He had been walking for several minutes, but when he turned around, it was still there. Same distance. Same angle. Unchanged. A quiet unease crept into his chest. That's not possible. He turned forward again and walked faster this time. Then faster. The path stretched endlessly, the faint light ahead never getting closer. The forest didn't change. The trees didn't shift. It was as if he was moving, but going nowhere at all. Then. Crunch. A sound behind him. He froze. Slowly, he looked down. Footprints. Fresh ones. Right behind him. But they weren't his. They were too long. Too narrow. Pressed deeper into the ground than any human step should be. And they were getting closer. One step at a time. Without sound. Without warning. He didn't turn around. He couldn't. Instead, his eyes lifted, slowly, unwillingly. Toward the house. The window. The girl was still there. Still smiling. But now. She wasn't alone. Behind her, inside the darkness of the room, something tall stood once again. The same unnatural shape. The same tilted head. Watching. Not her. Him. The man's breath broke into panic. He stepped back, one step, then another. And felt something solid behind him. He hadn't reached anything before. There was nothing behind him. But now. There was a door. Old wood. Half open. Exactly like the one at the house. He didn't remember walking back. He didn't remember turning around. But there it was. Waiting. The darkness inside it deeper than anything he had ever seen. And from within. A whisper. Soft. Close. You saw her. His hand trembled as it reached the door. He didn't want to open it. But something inside him wasn't giving him a choice. Slowly, he pushed. The door creaked open. And the darkness pulled him in. The forest returned to silence. Nothing moved. Nothing made a sound. The house stood exactly as it always had. Old. Broken. Watching. From the window, the girl remained. Smiling. Unmoving. But now, if you looked closely, there were two figures behind the glass. Standing side by side. Both perfectly still. Both staring outward. Waiting. And somewhere, not in the forest, not in the house, but closer than you think, a faint reflection appears. Not in a mirror. Not on a screen. But in the corner of your vision. You don't look at it directly. Because something in you already knows. If you do, it will be looking back. And this time, it won't stay on the other side. You try to ignore it. That faint feeling at the edge of your vision. Just a trick of light. A reflection. Your mind filling in shapes where nothing exists. That's what you tell yourself. But something doesn't sit right. Because it keeps happening. Not once. Not twice. Every time you look away, and then back again. Something is slightly different. Too small to notice at first. A shadow where there shouldn't be one. A movement that stops the moment you focus. And then, the silence. Not normal silence. The kind that feels like something is listening. Waiting for you to notice. Hours pass. Or maybe minutes. It's hard to tell. The room you're in feels the same, but not quite. The corners seem darker. The air heavier. Even the walls feel closer than before. You tell yourself to relax. To move. To do anything normal. So you stand up. Slowly. Carefully. And for a brief second. Something moves with you. But not exactly at the same time. You stop.
The lights flicker, once, twice, then stop. Everything returns to normal, except, it doesn't, because now we're not sure which one of you moved first. You step back, the reflection stays where it is, just for a fraction of a second. But that's enough to break something deep inside your sense of reality. I'm here, the whisper returns, closer than ever, not around you, not behind you, inside, like it's coming from the same place your thoughts do. You try to leave the room. You reach for the door. Your hand touches the handle. Cold, too cold. You turn it. The door opens, and on the other side, the forest, the same endless trees, the same suffocating silence, and far ahead, the house, waiting, exactly as it was, exactly as it always will be. Because now you understand something the others didn't. They didn't find the house.
The house found them. Behind you, something shifts. You don't turn around. You already know what you'll see. Another version of you, standing there, smiling wider than any face should allow. Eyes unblinking, watching, learning, becoming, stay. The voice says it again. But this time, it doesn't sound like a command. It sounds like a promise. And somewhere far away, or maybe not far at all, someone is watching a screen, listening to a story, feeling that same quiet discomfort creeping in, that same instinct telling them to look away. But they don't, because they want to know what happens next. They lean closer, just a little, and in that moment, their reflection hesitates, just for a second. But that's enough. Because now, it knows they noticed, and once it knows that, it doesn't have to hide anymore.
It begins with a delay. Not a big one, just enough to slip past certainty. You raise your hand, and your reflection follows. But not instantly, a fraction of a second late. You freeze, and this time, it doesn't correct itself. It just stands there, watching you, learning you, memorizing every movement, every breath, every hesitation. Then slowly, it lifts its hand, not copying you, not mirroring you, choosing to move on its own. The air in the room changes. You feel it before anything else. That same heaviness, that same pressure, like something unseen has stepped closer without making a sound. You try to step back, but your body hesitates, because somewhere deep inside, a thought forms. What if stepping back isn't your choice anymore? The reflection tilts its head, exactly like the shadow in the house. That same unnatural curiosity, that same quiet hunger. Its smile widens, stretching just a little too far. And then it speaks, not with sound, but you hear it anyway. Now, you see me. The lights dim, not turning off, just fading, as if something is slowly draining the brightness out of the world. The corners of the room darken first, then the walls, then everything, until only you and the reflection remain clear. You try to look away, but you can't. Your eyes refuse, locked in place, because something inside you knows. The moment you break eye contact, it will move. Seconds pass, or minutes, or something that feels much longer. Then finally, you blink, just once, and in that single moment, it's gone. The reflection disappears. The surface in front of you becomes empty. No image, no you, nothing. You stumble back. Your breath breaks. Your mind races, trying to make sense of what just happened. This isn't real. It can't be real. But then, you hear it, not from the mirror, not from the room, from behind you. A breath, slow, calm.
The story continues soon. What you saw was only the beginning. Follow us for part 2.